There's two things you can always count on in this world. Number one, the fake news is going to ask stupid questions of Karoline Leavitt, Donald Trump's press secretary. And number two, Donald Trump's press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, will call out the fake news for asking stupid questions.
So if there were peaceful protests on Saturday for the military parade, President Trump would allow that?
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question.
Oh, that's right. The fake news media trying to paint a narrative that Donald Trump does not allow and will not stand for patriotic and peaceful protests as guaranteed by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. They're trying to paint a false narrative that Donald Trump is going to squash any protesters at his planned event this Saturday, the military parade, which will be honoring America's Army, celebrating its 250th birthday, Donald Trump celebrating his 79th birthday, and of course the celebration of Flag Day, not to mention our amazing American military might. These things are all happening in Washington, D.C., and of course there are planned protests, because why wouldn't there be? The left has nothing else to do than to go and rabble-rouse and complain about ICE and the immigration raids. And they've been doing it all over the country, not just in Los Angeles. But this weekend, there are no King's ceremonies or no King's celebrations or no King's, riots planned all over in every single state almost. I think maybe not Alaska, but all the other 49. And Donald Trump's parade coincides with a lot of those. He said any protesters who are angry or destructive or break the law will be dealt with. And the media is now trying to make that seem like Donald Trump is going to stop anybody from protesting on his big day of celebration this Saturday in Washington, D.C. There was yet a second stupid question, though, from a second stupid reporter in the press briefing who asked Karoline Leavitt. This was a legitimate question, but I'm not making this up. This was a member of the media, the mainstream media, asking a question of the press secretary. Was Donald Trump, or did Donald Trump send the military and the National Guard into L.A. because he was fighting with Elon Musk? I kid you not.
On just everything sort of we've seen so far with the president's response to the LA protests, there is criticism that seems to suggest that the president responded the way he did because it was a deliberate, calculated attempt to sort of shift focus away from his feud with Musk. How would you respond to that?
The president responded to the LA riots, condemning the violence
from Musk.
It's an incredibly disingenuous attack. The president saw images of Border Patrol and ICE agents being hailed with rocks and Molotov cocktails. He saw vehicles being burned to the ground with illegal aliens flying foreign flags, and that's what prompted the president to have this response that has clearly worked, because last night in Los Angeles, you didn't see many of those images. And I would add the governor and the mayor need to actually do more. I know Gavin Newsom had a big address to the nation last night. I guess he thought that's what it was for maybe his future political ambitions, but he spoke a lot of words. We haven't seen action. California has been a mess for years because of the incompetence of Gavin Newsom, so the president was responding to that only.
The question again was, did President Donald Trump send in the National Guard? Did he send in the military to L.A. because he and Elon Musk were having a public argument on X? It seems not only disingenuous, but kind of disgusting. And I mean, you want to talk about stupid questions. I don't know. You only get one opportunity usually in these press briefings to ask a question of the White House press secretary. Seems silly to waste it on something like that, but she's absolutely right. Yesterday during the press briefing, the night before, there were no violent protests, or at least very few violent protests comparatively to the nights before. And that is, of course, because Donald Trump sent in reinforcements. He sent in the National Guard, he sent in the Marine Corps, and they were able to aid the LAPD in keeping the peace. And last night it happened again. President Donald Trump early this morning, writing on Truth Social, Los Angeles was safe and sound for the last 2 nights. Our great National Guard, with a little help from the Marines, put the LA police in a position to effectively do their job. They all worked well together, but without the military, Los Angeles would be a crime scene like we haven't seen in years. Governor Gavin Newsom had totally lost control of the situation. He should be saying thank you for saving his ASS instead of trying to justify his mistakes and incompetence. That's a message directly from the president of the United States. And it's true. It's something that was reiterated by Karoline Leavitt in the press briefing room yesterday, because what we're seeing in LA is really one of the worst I would say it's one of the worst failures of leadership and then political posturing by any governor, by any mayor, by anyone we've seen in recent history.
What we have seen transpire in Los Angeles, California in recent days is shameful. Left-wing radicals waving foreign flags viciously attacked ICE and Border Patrol agents as well as Los Angeles police officers. These criminals injured police, threw rocks at police cars and officers, burned vehicles, shut down freeways, and lobbed Molotov cocktails, all because the Trump administration was removing violent criminal illegal aliens from the city. These attacks were aimed not just at law enforcement, but at American culture and society itself. Rioters burned American flags, chanted "Death to ICE," and spray-painted anti-American slogans on buildings. But President Trump will never allow mob rule to prevail in America. The most basic duty of government is to preserve law and order, and this administration embraces that sacred responsibility.
Yeah, it's true. And President Donald Trump and Karoline Leavitt have been saying for weeks now that the ICE raids and that the ICE deportations and that the illegal immigrants that are being rounded up, these criminal thug gang members, murderers, drug addicts, human traffickers, the worst of the worst and being sent home, first of all, have no business being here because they're illegal. And second of all, they're a threat to this country, and they can't understand why the Democrats would want these people to remain in this country and even go so far as to fly to the deportation centers and the foreign countries that they've already been removed to and try to bring them back. And to prove that point, they continue to outline and they continue to add biographical background information about the people that they are arresting. These are not, folks, these are not the biggest and the best and the brightest being sent here by Mexico and by El Salvador and by Venezuela and by Vietnam and other Asian countries. These are bad people that are being unloaded in the United States because no one else wants them.
Since June 6th, there have been 330 illegal aliens that have been arrested as part of these riots in Los Angeles. 113 of those illegal aliens had prior criminal convictions. And overall, and this includes arrests of American citizens, there's been 157 people arrested for assault and obstruction-related charges, including the attempted murder of a police officer with a Molotov cocktail. So who is funding these illegal aliens who are coming in with this very professional riot gear? It's a question everyone in this room who cares about truth should be asking, and we encourage your help in trying to get to the bottom of that question.
But you're not going to get any help from the fake news media, and they know that very well. Listen, Donald Trump also had a very exciting celebration yesterday. He was at the Kennedy Center. Kennedy Center honors, the Kennedy Center was portraying, or there was a live musical presentation of Les Miserables, or Les Mis, as it's colloquially known. It's the Victor Hugo play turned into a massively successful musical, and it's something that Donald Trump was looking forward to. He and his wife Melania attended, along with AG Pam Bondi, the Vice President of the United States. Ted Cruz was there. We hear Laura Loomer was in the house. And Donald Trump was asked about several of the actors who were planning to boycott the presentation because Donald Trump was there. Here's what he said.
It's been reported that some actors may be boycotting tonight.
I couldn't care less, honestly. All I do is run the country well. The economic numbers, you saw them today, they're setting records. We took $88 billion in tariffs in 2 months, far beyond what anybody expected. There's no inflation. People are happy. People are wealthy. The country is getting back to strength again. That's what I care about. And we're going to have a safe country. We're not going to have what would have happened in Los Angeles. Remember, if I wasn't there, if I didn't act quickly on that, Los Angeles would be burning to the ground right now.
Yeah, Donald Trump said, I don't care if the actors can show up, they can not show up. They can sing and dance, or they can sit on their pants. I don't know, they can do whatever they want to do. I'm running the country well. We have zero inflationary growth, as we reported yesterday. The economy is bustling. Prices are down. Tariff revenue is coming in, and that's all true. Howard Lutnick, who is the Commerce Secretary and he is one of the architects of Donald Trump's economic recovery plan, which is, again, booming. He was making the rounds yesterday, and he was beaming on Laura Ingram's show about all of the amazing things President Donald Trump has been able to accomplish economically.
Oh, you can't believe it, right? You have low inflation. You've got the economy humming. You've got tariffs bringing in $34 billion a month, $88 billion since Donald Trump started. I mean, the Congress doesn't count that on the big, beautiful bill, but United States of America counts it on our bottom line. Donald Trump is doing everything he said. He's bringing it all. And I tell you what, it can't feel much better.
Yeah, a lot of people very excited about what's going on economically. A lot of people really excited about the growth that President Donald Trump is bringing, and the one big beautiful bill, or the OBBB as it's being called, which I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I like a good nickname. I'm a big fan of nicknames, just like the next guy. The OBBB is one that I didn't see coming. But the OBBB, Russ Vought, who's the deputy secretary of the Treasury, was out yesterday, and he was talking about, look, when they're selling this bill, when the Democrats are trying to tell you how destructive this is, and when some of the fiscal hawk Republicans like Thomas Massie and Rand Paul and a few others are discussing this bill, and they're discussing the Office of Budget Management, the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, when they're talking about all these numbers and these descriptions of this bill, they are using a gimmick and a trick and a little bit of propaganda to make it seem like this bill is not nearly as effective as it is and is much more destructive than it is.
Well, look, this bill doesn't increase debt and deficits. We use an accurate baseline based on the real world. CBO and all of the independent watchdogs, that many of those, and we have agreed historically with much of the fiscal hawk's perspective, but the watchdogs, including Congressional Budget Office, are using an artificial baseline. They're assuming that spending will continue into eternity, but current law tax levels will not. So if you have a sunset from the 2017 tax relief that occurs, extending current law tax level and making adjustments based on what the president campaigned on looks like an enormous cost. And so that's not what anyone in the world looking at their spending levels and their revenue levels would actually believe to be a fair accounting. And as a result, when you adjust for that massive gimmick that CBO uses, this bill reduces deficits by $1.4 trillion. It has historic, let me repeat the word historic, levels of mandatory savings, $1.7 trillion, welfare reform, other changes to the social safety net that has become, honestly, a benefit hammock in the last several years. We haven't seen anything like this since the 1990s. The level of that welfare reform was $800 billion. This adjusted for inflation. This is dramatically more as a result.
Yeah, pardon me. This is Russ Vought. He's the director of the OMB. I don't know what I was thinking earlier. And he's contradicting the Congressional Budget Office and saying, look, they're not looking at the whole picture. They're looking at one bill. They're looking at the loss line of the profit and loss, and not the profit line of the profit and loss. And there is exceptional profit coming in from all kinds of different places. The tariff revenue that is Howard Lutnick was talking about earlier, all of the other economic investment that we're getting from the Middle East and from Asia and from all these other countries, and even from our own countries, where American companies are bringing manufacturing jobs back to the United States of America. All of that is going to add up to a net gain of trillions of dollars, which will then be paid down toward the deficit. President Donald Trump also said, look, the Trump card is going to make a significant dent in the deficit as well. And the Trump card, they already have an official government website up. The Trump card is coming. Enter your information below to be notified the moment access opens. This is a $5 million gold card that allows premium people, these are the good people, premium access to the United States of America. If they want to come in here and they want to do business, or if they have something that they believe they can contribute to the United States of America, they can bypass a lot of the regulations that stymie the immigration of people who are acceptable for just $5 million. A $5 million investment in the United States of America, you can bring in whoever you want. I mean, as long as they're vetted and they're not criminal, illegal, thug, gang member aliens. This is beneficial to a lot of companies, tech companies, who want to go to India or to China or to Japan and bring in people that they believe will help their companies, and in addition help the United States of America. They're going to bring those folks over, and they're going to get a fast track with the Trump Gold Card. Again, for only $5 million. These are various different ideas that Donald Trump is instituting, that Donald Trump is introducing into the United States economy that no one ever has. No one has ever done this kind of thing. They've never said, let's look at the United States of America, not just as a place where we tax our citizens and then spend ourselves into oblivion, but let's look at the assets that the United States of America has to offer and figure out a way to bring in profit that will pay down the debt and that we can then share with our citizens. Let's, instead of being dependent on foreign energy and foreign oil, since we have more oil under the thin layer of the earth than any other country, let's dig it up ourselves. Let's refine it ourselves. Let's ship it out to other people. Let's become net exporters instead of just net importers, and we can make a whole lot of money selling to our friends all over the world. And it'll be way safer for anybody to buy the oil from the United States of America than it would be for them to buy it from Russia or Venezuela or any of these other terrible, horrible, no good, very bad countries. So Donald Trump is saying, let's get our energy policy in gear so we can become energy dominant. He's saying, let's sell access to our country to people that are willing to pay for it. He's saying, let's get these countries, let's charge them tariffs or invite them into the United States to create their products and say, if you come to the United States, you won't have to pay a tariff. If you come to the United States, you will be tariff free. Just bring your companies over here. We've got plenty of supply. We've got plenty of room. We'll build the factories and we will fill them with qualified American workers so that you can produce your goods and services tariff free. It's something that no president has done in a very, very, very long time. And it's one of the reasons why President Donald Trump is making America great again. There is also breaking news. There's some question about whether or not Iran will be attacked by, I assume Israel is probably the most likely target, or maybe the United States of America. But there was a question yesterday President Donald Trump got at the Kennedy Center about American troops being moved away from the region.
Could you provide an update on Iran? We're hearing reports that U.S. personnel are being moved out of the region within striking distance.
Well, they are being moved out because it could be a dangerous place, and we'll see what happens. But they are we've given notice to move out, and we'll see what happens.
Is there anything that can be done to dial the temperature down in the region?
They can't have a nuclear weapon, very simply. They can't have a nuclear weapon. We're not going to allow that.
That is not a change in policy. That is the standard policy of the United States of America and most of the rest of the world. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. We're not going to allow that. And it appears that with American troops being mobilized out of the area, there could be some kind of impending attack because Iran is still trying to find a nuclear weapon. And we, of course, will keep you updated on any and all international foreign policy news. We'll keep you updated on any and all local news. We'll keep you updated on all kinds of stuff. If you listen to our second daily podcast, Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, every day at 1 p.m., every single day at 1 p.m., we go live. We live stream on Facebook and YouTube and Rumble and X and all of our live streaming platforms so you can catch the news as it happens. Or if you prefer, the other thing you can do is you can listen to our daily podcast on iTunes, on Google Play, on Spotify, on any of those different podcast networks. All you have to do is search Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, download, listen, and enjoy.